Your yeshiva is a storehouse of great Rebbeim and Torah. It shares it. Our Gedolim don't conceal their holy Torah, they share it. We daven to Hashem for our chelik in the Torah. He shares it. So when you come up with chidushim in your learning, that's your Torah. Share it.
In this fantastic platform for giving people the ability to share their chidush Torah, if I could just share a small chidush that just came to me this year after Baruch Hashem having learned Maseches Brachos many times. And this is the first time that this insight has hit me. And it's a famous Gemara in Maseches Brachos, Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. It shitas the opinion of Rabbi Avo. Many of you have heard this line many times before. The Rambam has a slightly different girsa. I'm going to read you the wording in our Gemara Shas Bavli, the end of the 5th parak of Maseches Brachos. Rabbi Avo tells us, Mokum Balei Teshuvah Omdin, Tzadikim Gemurim Einam Omdin. In the place that Balei Teshuvah stand, Tzadikim Gemurim don't stand. So most people walk away from this Gemara. You see that Balei Teshuvah, in a sense, are on a higher level, where they're standing, and this is, of course, a reference to Olam Haba, to the next world. Tzadikim Gemurim don't stand. There's something special about Balei Teshuvah when you go through the process of Teshuvah, and a person did Aveira, so Chamal Atzlan, and you perpetrated sin, iniquity, wrongdoing, but you rectified the wrongdoing, and you did Teshuvah, you had sincere, intense remorse, and Aziva Sachit, you abandoned the sin, and you had Kabbalah, you took upon yourself, you're never going to do the sin again. And of course, you confessed the sin, vidoy, and you went through all the steps of tshuva as delineated by the Rambam, Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Beis, halachah Beis, and you went through the steps. Balei Teshuvah stands in a place that even Tzadikim and Gemurim don't stand. So it struck me. What an interesting, unique terminology. Stand? Who's standing in the Olam Hamas? Who's standing in Olam Haba? Olam Haba is relaxing. Olam Haba is the ultimate utopia of unparalleled serenity, tranquility, you name it. That's not even my suggestion. Let's go back to the Gemara's own terminology earlier in Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. And the Gemara even says, what is Olam Haba? I'll read you another Gemara. Olam Haba, ein bo lo achila v'lo shtia. There's no eating, there's no drinking, and there's no reproduction, there's no business, there's no jealousy, there's no hatred, there's no competition. It is utopia, l'kol hadayis, to all opinions. And the Gemara says, so what? How do we define Olam Haba? What's part of the nature? Again, it's indescribable, but something that's tangible. Ela tzadikim yoshvin, v'atroseim b'rasheim v'nenem miziv hashchina. You know what? The Metzias Olam Haba is tzadikim. You sit and you bask in proximity to the divine, and you have your Atrosei Hashem. They have their crowns atop their heads, unfathomable, unconceivable types of crowns, and the tzadikim are sitting yoshvin, and with the crowns sitting comfortably atop their heads, and they're deriving endless, unbelievable pleasure and benefit from the splendor, the radiance of God's divine presence. So what is Olam Haba? Tzadikim yoshvin. So what do you mean by Balei Teshuvah Omdin? Tzadikim are not Omeid. Who's Omeid? So perhaps the idea is as follows. And the Kabbalim, the Kabbalists tell us, when we invoke the Lashon of Shechina, Shechina means you're not really right by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shechina Lashon Akeva, and that highlights a sense of being Mekabel, not the nosing. Shechina is just like a baskol. A baskol is, you're not hearing the voice of God, but you're hearing the bounce, the reflection of that voice. Shechina is, you're getting a sense of the divine, but you're not really right there with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzadikim, they have their crowns atop their heads, and they're sitting in their amazing Olam Haba, and they are nenemi ziva Shechina. They're getting a lot of pleasure in the Shechina, but they're not really by the Shechina, and that's why they could sit. But if you're really by the Shechina, you're not allowed to sit by the Shechina. What does Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to get the Torah? What is Hashem's terminology? Va'atapo amod imadi. Stand there with me. Of course, stand there with me, because if you're right directly in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu chvodo va'atzmo, you can't sit. Who has the audacity, the chutzpah to sit? You're not allowed to sit. Ella what to Moshe Rabbeinu? Yabaya Kodesh Baruch Hu v'atapo amod imadi. You got to stand. Now, what does the Gemara tell us in Yuma? The last line of Pei Vav Amud Aleph, Rabbi Levi tells us, Gedola Teshuvah shamagas ad kisei hakoven. A Teshuvah goes way beyond where people can feel the presence and bask in proximity and closest to the Shechina. A Teshuvah reaches all the way to the kisei hakoven mamish. If Teshuvah takes you to the kisei hakoven, and then about Teshuvah taps into the power of Teshuvah, and the Teshuvah is in sitting in Olam Haba, and the Balei Teshuvah is standing because he's right by the Kisei Kavod. As the Balei Teshuvah is Atapo Omni Modi, stand the Heilig of Balei Teshuvah. You could stand by me by the Kisei Kavod. So now, my dear friends, the Gemara's terminology is so geschmack, is so perfect. A Mokum Balei Teshuvah Omdin, the place of Balei Teshuvah stand, which is right by the Kisei Kavod, because only Teshuvah takes you all the way to the Kisei Kavod, where God B'chodu Atzma Kaviyachol is sitting, and all is on his magical throne, and all the glory and splendor. Teshuvah takes you right there. So hence the perfect terminology of Chazal. Amokim Balei Teshuvah Omdim, in the place of Balei Teshuvah are standing Atabonim, because they're right against God. Afilo Tzadikim Gemurim Einam Omdim, they're not standing because they're sitting, like the Gemara told us earlier. Tzadikim Yoshvin, they're sitting because they're not right here. They're a little into the distance. They're Nenemi Ziva Shechina, but they're not right by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mokim Balei Teshuvah Omdim, Afilo Tzadikim Gemurim. Have an awesome day. Torah's Gewalt.